You ever been stuck between a rock and a hard place? Forced to make a choice where every single option has a real downside? We face these impossible choices all the time, not just in our lives, but in really complex fields like engineering. But what if there was a way to find the best possible compromises systematically? Today, we're diving into the story of a brilliant algorithm that was designed to do exactly that.
Okay, think about this. You're designing a car. You want it to be ridiculously fast. You also want it to be perfectly safe, like 5-star rating safe. And of course, you want it to be incredibly cheap. Well, the problem is these goals are fighting each other. To make it faster, you might need expensive materials, which kills the cheap part. Add more safety features, that adds weight, which slows it down. You just can't max out all three at once. It's the classic trade-off.
Now, this car problem actually has a formal name. It's called multi-objective optimization. And the key thing to get here is that there is no single best car. It doesn't exist. Instead, what you have is a whole family of optimal compromises. You could have a super safe, pretty affordable family car that's not very fast. Or you could have a blazing fast sports car that's expensive and maybe not a tank. This whole set of best possible trade-offs is what we're after.
So how in the world do you get a computer to find this whole family of solutions for you? Well, back in the 1990s, a pioneering algorithm stepped up to the plate, but it turned out to have some serious problems.
This first major attempt was called the Non-Dominated Sorting Genetic Algorithm, or just NSGA. And honestly, it was a huge deal at the time. It was one of the very first methods that could find a bunch of different compromise solutions all in one go, a total breakthrough. But as researchers started using it, they pretty quickly realized that it had some critical weaknesses.
So here are the three big problems with the original NSGA. First, it was just painfully slow. Its computational complexity was so high that if you threw a big problem at it, you'd be waiting forever. Second, it didn't have something called elitism. This meant it could find a fantastic solution, a real winner, and then, in the very next step, just accidentally throw it away. Poof, gone. And third, to make sure you got a nice variety of solutions, you had to tune this tricky magic number, a parameter that was almost impossible to get right. And this is where the story gets really good. Researchers looked at these flaws not as a dead end, but as a puzzle to be solved. And their answer was this elegant new version, NSGA II, that was built around three super clever innovations, each one designed to fix one of those big problems. First things first, they had to do something about that speed issue. The original algorithm was just getting completely bogged down. It needed a serious performance upgrade.
The new way of sorting was just brilliant. The best way to think about it is like peeling an onion. First, the algorithm quickly finds the absolute best of the best solutions. This is the outer layer of the onion. These are the ones that aren't beaten by anything else. Then, it peels that layer away, sets it aside, and does the exact same thing to the remaining solutions to find the next best layer. It just keeps repeating this, layer by layer. It's so much faster.
And the result? It was a massive leap in efficiency. The computational complexity went from n cubed all the way down to n squared. Now, to put that in simple terms, if you doubled the number of car designs you were testing, the old algorithm would take 8 times as long to finish. The new one would only take 4 times as long. This change was a game changer. It meant you could solve much bigger problems without waiting forever.
All right, next up was fixing that annoying problem of finding a great solution and then losing it. The answer was to introduce a concept called elitism. You can think of it like a tournament. The winners always get to advance to the next round.
So here's how they did it. At each step, the algorithm takes the old parent solutions and the new offspring solutions and throws them all into one big pool. Then it uses that super fast sorting method we just talked about to rank everybody, from best to worst. And then it just picks the absolute best individuals from the top of that list to be the parents for the next generation. It's a simple, foolproof guarantee that you never lose your best finds.
And finally, they had to get rid of that frustrating magic number you needed to guess to get a good spread of solutions. The whole point was to find a way for the algorithm to encourage variety all by itself, automatically. The solution here was this really cool idea called crowding distance. It's basically a way of giving each solution a little bit of personal space. The algorithm looks at each solution and figures out how crowded its neighborhood is. Then, if it has to choose between 2 equally good solutions, it will always pick the one that's in a less crowded area. This naturally encourages the solutions to spread out and cover the entire map of possibilities. And the best part? No magic number required. Okay, so we've got 3 really clever ideas: a much faster way to sort, a strategy that never loses, and an automatic way to get a diverse set of options. But did it all actually work better in the real world? Well,
It was time for an algorithm bake-off. Time to put NSGA II in the ring with the other top contenders.
So, the new challenger, NSGA II, went head-to-head with two other very popular and very good elitist algorithms, one called SPEA and another called PAYUS. To see who was really the best, they were all put through a series of 9 tough test problems. And they were judged on 2 key things: who could get closer to the true best answers, and who could find the widest, most diverse spread of options.
All right, first up, convergence. This is all about how close you can get to the perfect answer. And the results? They were pretty clear. NSGA II showed it was just better at zeroing in on those ideal trade-offs. It found solutions that were closer to the true optimum on most of the test problems.
But on that second metric, diversity, it wasn't even a competition. NSGA II was the undisputed champion. It found a better, wider spread of solutions on all 9 of the test problems. That crowding distance idea was a complete runaway success. It just delivered a rich, varied set of choices every single time.
You don't have to take my word for it. The conclusion of the original paper says it all. The researchers wrote that NSGA II was able to, quote, maintain a better spread of solutions and converge better than the other top algorithms. It proved that these 3 innovations weren't just clever on paper, they were a demonstrably better way to solve these ridiculously hard problems.
Now, doing great on a bunch of abstract test problems is one thing. That's fantastic. But the real test for any algorithm is whether it can handle the absolute messiness of the real world, a world that is full of hard limits and non-negotiable rules.
Because in the real world, you have rules, hard limits. An airplane wing can't just be lightweight and cheap. It also has to be strong enough so that it doesn't break. A financial plan has to stay within certain risk limits. These rules you cannot break are called constraints. And any algorithm that's going to be useful has to know how to deal with them.
So to handle this, the team added another beautifully simple idea to NSGA II. It's a new set of rules they called constrained domination. And the logic is just common sense. Rule number 1, any solution that actually follows the rules is always better than a solution that breaks them, period. And rule number 2, if you have 2 solutions that both break the rules, well, the one that breaks them less is the better one. It's a super elegant way to navigate these real-world limits.
And this whole package, its incredible speed, its elite ability to find and keep the best solutions, its automatic way of ensuring variety, and its simple way of handling real-world rules, that is why NSGA II became such a landmark algorithm. For over 2 decades now, it's been the invisible engine powering solutions to some of the most complex design problems you can imagine.
It really makes you wonder, right? As the challenges we face get more and more complex, with more and more conflicting goals, I'm talking about things like drug discovery, or global supply chains, or climate modeling. What other impossible choices will be made possible by the elegant logic of algorithms like NSGA II?